All right, today we're diving deep, really deep, into one of the greatest sea stories ever told. Herman Melville's Moby Dick. It's a huge, epic tale all about obsession, revenge, and the terrifying power you can find out in the open ocean and deep inside the human heart. Wow, just listen to that. That's Captain Ahab for you. And those words, well, they aren't just talk. They're the engine driving this entire absolutely insane story. That one fiery promise is going to drag a whole ship full of men right down to the bottom of the sea. So how could one man's personal vendetta lead to so much destruction? To really get it, we have to get inside the mind of Captain Ahab himself and understand his all-consuming quest. See, for Ahab, this journey isn't about hunting whales for profit. Not at all. This is a personal war. In his mind, the great white whale, Moby Dick, isn't just the animal that took his leg. Oh no. To him, it's the living, breathing incarnation of all the evil in the universe. And there's actually a name for what's going on with Ahab: monomania. It's an obsession with a single thing that completely takes over your life. For Ahab, losing his leg wasn't just a physical injury. During that long, painful trip home, his psychological wounds just festered and grew until his rage and his pain all fused into one single, insane thought: I have to destroy that whale. So you might be wondering, how on earth does he get a whole crew to go along with this mad plan? Well, he's a clever guy. He gets everyone together on deck, pulls out this Spanish gold coin, and bam! Nails it right to the mast. It's a prize, he says, for the first man to spot Moby Dick. And just like that, his personal obsession becomes a treasure hunt for everybody else. But here's the thing, not everyone is buying it. The first mate, Starbuck, he's the voice of reason here. He sees Moby Dick for what it is, just a big animal. He thinks their real mission is to hunt whales for oil, to make a living. He actually confronts Ahab, tries to talk some sense into him, but he finds out pretty quick that you just can't reason with that kind of madness. Now, Ahab's obsession doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It all plays out on the deck of a single whaling ship, the doomed Pequod. And we see this whole tragedy through the eyes of our narrator, Ishmael. You got to feel for the guy. He's basically a bored school teacher who's had enough of life on land and decides to go looking for adventure. He has absolutely no idea that he's just signed on for a voyage that's being driven by one man's revenge and that he'll be the only one to come back and tell the tale. And just look at this crew. This isn't just a random bunch of sailors. They're basically a floating, tiny version of all of humanity. You've got men from every corner of the globe, all with different beliefs and backgrounds, all trapped together on this one boat and all being controlled by the iron will of their obsessed captain. So, after a long, long journey across the world's oceans, ignoring every warning sign, passing up every chance for a profit, Ahab finally finds what he's been looking for. And this is it. The final fatal chase begins. And this isn't some quick fight. This is a brutal, relentless 3-day battle. On day 1, the whale shows up and immediately destroys Ahab's boat, just snaps it in half. Day 2, they go at it again, and this time the whale fights back so hard it kills one of Ahab's own men. And then, on the final day, Moby Dick seems to decide he's had enough of the small boats, and he charges the Pequod itself. He rams the ship, sinks it, and takes nearly everyone down with him. So in the end, who's left? Only our narrator, Ishmael, and you are not gonna believe how he survives. He literally floats to safety on a coffin. His friend Queequeg had it built earlier in the voyage when he thought he was dying, and it was later turned into a lifebuoy. I mean, the symbolism is just incredible. The very thing that represents death becomes the one object that saves his life. The craziest thing is, the story of failure and doom didn't end when the Pequod sank. In a really strange twist, the novel's own fate kind of mirrored the tragic story of the ship and its crew. This is almost impossible to believe now, but when Moby Dick was published back in 1851, it was a complete flop, a total failure. The critics hated it, the public just ignored it, and Herman Melville ended up dying totally forgotten. It wasn't until the 1920s, decades after he was gone, that people started rediscovering his work and realized, whoa, wait a second, this book is an absolute masterpiece. So why did it fail so badly back then? Well, you have to think about what America was like in the 1850s. The whole country was running on this boundless optimism. It was all about manifest destiny, rugged individuals, and this belief that humans could conquer anything. And then here comes Melville with this dark, complicated, tragic novel about obsession, failure, and the terrifying forces of nature that man can't control. The country just wasn't ready to hear it. And this really is the question at the heart of the novel's power. Yeah, Moby Dick is a destructive, powerful force of nature, for sure. But the story ultimately forces us to ask ourselves, who is the real monster here? Is it the whale in the sea, or is it the obsession that's festering in a man's heart?